2 or 3 seconds. There we go. We're live.
Okay. Thanks, Melanie. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sarah Shearer. I'm a trustee on the Albany Public Library Board. I am the Vice President for Finance and the chair of this committee. Just quickly, who's joining us today? I'm joined by my fellow trustees, Karen Strong and Thomas McCarthy, who are also members on the Finance Committee. We are also joined by our board president, Matthew Finn. We are joined by staff, our executive director, Scott Drozombic, assistant director, Melanie Metzger, as I just clicked through my Zoom, budget manager, Adam Stump, administrative assistant, Rebecca Delgazo, and we're joined by counsel, Robert Schofield. I think I got everybody as I click through this. So our one order of business today, public comment first.
We have not received any public comment at this time. If anybody from the public wishes to make a comment, it would be read during this time, and public comment should be emailed to publiccomment@albanypubliclibrary.org, publiccomment@albanypubliclibrary.org.
Thank you, Rebecca. Our one order of business on the agenda today is continued discussion of the board treasurer position, and then I believe we will be going into executive session after that. So with that, discussion of the treasurer position, I believe where we left off was really surrounding how to fill the position. We're still discussing the employee model versus independent contractor model and the pros and cons to each. So I'm not sure if anybody had anything they wanted to start the conversation with. Bob, were you able to find resources from the comptroller's office?
Many.
I hear clicking. Are you emailing those out to us?
You didn't hear me say, I said many.
Yes, you said many. I wasn't sure if you were clicking to email them out to us or.
No.
No, okay.
I can, but that's not what I was doing. I just thought I'd answered your questions.
Okay. I mean, would you like to share with us what the comptroller is saying?
Well, it's exactly what I've told you before. Their preference is to have a public officer who takes an oath and who serves as the treasurer. That is usually accomplished as an employee. There are ways to do it in other than an employment relationship, and I'm being careful not to say independent contractor because they get charged by that term, and there's a couple of decisions or audit opinions where they have strongly criticized libraries for using true independent contractors in the form of, ABC accounting firm. That's not what we would ever do, I don't think. But
no, I think when we discussed the idea of a firm, we agreed that our treasurer had to be an individual that was appointed.
Right. So that's the distinction there. But they still are very, very cautious with the term independent contractor. So I have some audit reports that I can share with you. Can certainly go over them. I can give you the ins and out, but that's the summary of the issue.
Okay. I guess I have a hard time wrapping my head around employment being a sure way to get to public officer status, since there are 9 of us on the board who take an oath to become public officers and we're not employed by the library. So I'm just having.
You're volunteers. We could certainly try and find a volunteer treasurer if you think that's possible.
So if an individual is paid, they can't take a public oath to become a public officer?
No, they absolutely can. In fact, they often do.
Okay. Because I went back and reread what it says on the New York State Department of Ed website, that's actually discouraging an employee from acting as treasurer because they're actually citing conflict of interest.
If that's on DLD's website, it's out of date.
New York State Ed Department.
Yeah, Division of Library Development, sir.
Well, I know I know the page Sarah's talking about.
Yes.
I mean, it's SED's website, but DLD is it's in the DLD section of the SED.
Right. So I think that material is out of date.
There's an updated date on it.
Mhm.
But that's kind of what I was asking about at the last meeting, Bob. Like, this is the information we have to go on DLD's own website. So like, we're looking to see why this is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can give you a comprehensive legal opinion reiterating this. There's about 4 or 5 different ways to skin the cat. If we want to talk about the concepts there, I'm happy to give you that opinion. The discussion we had the other night wasn't about those concepts as much as it was about the issue that you had before you. And I don't think we're in an appropriate setting to have a conversation and follow up to that right now. If you want to tell me what you're looking at with respect to the DLD page, I can certainly explain to you what's wrong with that. But there's no conflict of interest issue if it's set up correctly with an employee. It is done literally everywhere in New York with respect to schools. That's how the position is handled. And that's where all of this guidance stems from. It all comes from the school district treasurer model, including the controller's own guidance. It all stems from the issue that the controller's office made a decision in the mid-'80s that it is a conflict of interest to have a trustee serve as treasurer because they're both a decider and a custodian. And so once they made that decision, they essentially said, but there are any number of ways to do this. The school districts do it with employees. You can do it with other custodians. You can do it with volunteers. You just can't do it with trustees. So we have many options, but we need to sort of hone in on what it is. Thank you. I see the link, Karen. I appreciate it. Let me pull it up and see if I can give you a sense. So you're referring to the handbook. You're not talking about the DLD website per se.
It's on the DLD website.
No, I understand, but are we referring to the handbook? Or are we referring to the website?
I mean, this is a digital copy of the trustee handbook that is.
As I'm not trying to mince words with you. I'm trying to get directed to what you're reading. I can click on the handbook and I can open that, or I can scroll down the page if it's on the page. I'm just trying to figure out where you're reading.
Scroll down, or if you click Control F, the header is what is the relationship between the treasurer and the director, and it's that paragraph.
I've got that paragraph.
I would also just point out that the following paragraph, it says, can the board appoint a staff member to the position of treasurer? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, and I will tell you that the whole thing about best practice, that comes from Rebecca and from Jerry, and I don't think that is consistent with the state of the law. The reality is that where you have an employee serving as a treasurer, they report to the board for that duty, just like any treasurer would.
So, for an example, like the Albany City School District,
Mhm.
like, who does their treasurer report to? Like,
Go ahead.
and this can be abstract, it doesn't just have to be Albany, but like in general, is that person hired and fired directly by the board, or they report to the superintendent of schools?
So let's not use Albany because I think it complicates things for a couple of reasons. In addition to library work, we represent at any given time 13 to 15 school districts. In the smaller school districts, and I choose the smaller ones only because they're more analogous to a library. They don't have enough volume to carry a full-time treasurer duties only person. Typically, the way that works is you have someone in a business office who is in a civil service title of account clerk or maybe account clerk typist, and that person performs sort of clerical and accounting work for the school district. In addition to that, that person will also be board appointed as the district's treasurer. And as the school district gets larger, it's more likely that will become a full-time position, that there'll be that treasurer itself. With respect to that account clerk work, they report to either the business official, the business manager, the assistant superintendent for business, whoever that happens to be. But with respect to the treasurer work, they're a board officer, and they sign that public officer's oath, and they fill that same function where they're the custodian of the funds. They're the ones that sign the checks. They're the ones that, provide certain reports to the board. I think APL probably is still not anywhere near large enough to be considering having a full-time treasurer, because really, if you think about what the core duties are, they're busy once or twice a month, right? When you're preparing that check register, making sure all of the audit materials are associated with it. And then after the board acts, cutting those checks. Adam has told us that the number of events where there's transfers between accounts of any significant are pretty small. Everything is pretty automated with respect to those things, payroll, things of that nature. Adam can comment more on that. But the big events where someone would have to actually, authorize a large transaction are a few times a year, it sounds like. So other than that once a month where they're doing the check issuing process, I don't think you'd put them into use otherwise. I do think the idea of having that person in your business office, because it's so small, could, really create some internal control issues. You probably don't have enough space to do segregation, but having that person outside that eliminates some of those concerns. The other difficulty that you have is with a position this small, employing a person just to do this may be tricky. That's why that independent contractor idea does make some sense, but you're going to have a hard time figuring that out because, again, it has to be a person. The suggestion that Scott brought to you, I agreed with when he mentioned it to me, but again, I understand the board's reservations as well. So I'm going to send everybody one particular report as soon as I can pull up everybody's email. It's the controller's report relating to Sayville Public Library, because, and I'm choosing that one only because the real issue there was the establishment of an appropriate treasurer position, and they spend a lot of time arguing about whether it's an independent contractor or an employee, whether it's appropriate, inappropriate, things like that. So, it gives you some sense of their thinking. Now, I will be the first to tell you, the Office of the State Controller, particularly when it's doing local government audits, does not necessarily adhere to the law in the sense that you and I, feel compelled to. They make things up as they go along, sort of regulating by audit, but this is how they feel about the issue. This is what they want to see the position look like, and this is how they stated in their audit reports, which of course are written as criticisms. So I don't think I've got an email set up with everybody on it. So just give me a second while I'm circulating things.
So another thing we asked was, I hear what you're saying, Bob, about other small school districts, and of course, larger districts, a treasurer position would be more full-time, and I certainly see the difference. But I haven't heard an example of a specific school district library that is doing it this way, is doing it with an employee. And so the example that Scott provided of Poughkeepsie, Sarah Dallas tells us it's actually a different special district library.
Yeah, for this purpose, it's a distinction without a difference, though. I probably have 40-ish school district public library clients around the state. Those who don't do it with a volunteer do it with some form of employment. I can only think of 2 of them where they're doing it as an independent contractor. It happens to be individuals who are individually providing bookkeeping services in their community, and they do it. One of those is an association library, so they don't technically have to follow this rule. But a lot of volunteers, non-elected trustees, and a lot of part-time employment assignments.
So would now be a good time to go into an executive session? I'm not sure if anybody has anything else to say on this subject or.
Well, I have one more question
Sure.
while we're in public session. In the trustee handbook, one of the they list 4 things that are like general duties of a treasurer, and one of them is oversight of investments. And so, first part of the question is that accurate as pertains to our library? And 2, in the abstract, could there ever be a concern that an employee acting as treasurer would have different interest in the investments of the library than the board?
I would defer to the factual question that you asked about what's happening at APL to Adam and Scott. There's no question that is a critical role of the library board treasurer because it's a custodial function, right? They should be the signatory on those accounts to the extent that those accounts exist, and they do at APL. Conflict of interest in the way the library treasurer would care about them versus the board, I can't imagine what that would be. You're so limited in the investment vehicles that you can use under General Municipal Law 11 that unless the person was involved in some kind of self-dealing, which would be a problem for any treasurer, it has nothing to do with whether it's an employee or not. I can't contemplate why an employee would have a different view of what investment success is than the board. And frankly, the board sets the investment policy when it sets forth its policies and its financial policies. So I'm not really sure that you wouldn't just objectively follow that policy anyway. I mean, the board would have oversight of that too. We're either following the policy or we're not. We either have it in the right investments or we don't. Staff is typically making the decision as to how much are held in investment versus operating accounts. Your operating accounts tend not to produce any revenue, but they're insured.
I would also just make a note here of the section of the trustee handbook. It says, must the treasurer physically deposit, transfer, and invest funds, or may they, quote unquote, oversee this function? So in my mind, that would be the most sensible way for for those functions to occur for me to essentially continue doing the physical deposits, the transfers, and the investments, with the treasurer really just being made aware of them and overseeing them, reviewing them for their validity. Partly
I think,
because,
Adam, by the way, I agree with you. That's part of an internal control policy that as long as the treasurer has a role in verifying and having knowledge to audit those issues, I think that does make sense. I agree.
and there's also a line in there that says the principle of segregation of duties should always be considered. So, I would argue that, if the treasurer is doing the bank reconciliations for the investment account and the checking accounts, then they should not be the one depositing funds, transferring funds, investing funds. And also to go back to Tom's statement, I would actually revise that oversight of investments line to really just oversight of the work performed by the business office. Just all the different types of financial transactions that we record on the books, I think is a more accurate description of what a treasurer would do.
And
For us.
could, what is, we've talked a little bit about this, but like, what is a good way to articulate what oversight means in this context? Because, by the time they're signing the checks, the board has already approved the checks. And I get that that's kind of a ministerial just function of a person who needs to sign them. But like, what does oversight mean in terms of like, checking that things are happening the way they should be happening?
I don't think oversight's a good word at all, Tom. I think the right word is custodial and fiduciary. That's what I think the words should be. And look, I'm not here to criticize the library trustees handbook. I think Rebecca and Jerry are amazing at what they do. They're fonts of knowledge. I work with them all the time. They come to me for advice all the time. Their handbook it's intended to be a reference guide, but they tell you right at the beginning of it, they're not lawyers. They're not rendering legal advice. They're trying to give you good advice on how to run a library. And that's why they're very careful to couch things in terms of best practice when it's not required or supported by law. It's just their opinion on how you do it. So they use some words loosely that I think we have to be very, very specific about. The library treasurer is the custodian of the funds. It is the one person who's responsible for what is in those accounts and that those accounts get maintained the way they're supposed to. And as long as that's the fundamental, that they are the one that has the right to move things and approve others to move things or approve others to have access, then we'll be fine. Adam needs very, very broad access to those accounts to keep the library functioning every day. But the library treasurer is the one that ultimately is overseeing them for the board and reporting to you on the fact that, the transactions that have come in and out this month look right to me. Sarah has another heightened fiduciary duty as vice president for finance under the bylaws. That was the sort of the new way that library boards created a fiscal officer when everybody started pushing them to do this treasurer thing the way they're doing it. And so as VP for finance, she has a job description in the bylaws that specifically says she's supposed to be the one keeping an eye on all of this and leading the efforts of the board. So it's almost like a triangle. You've got the staff financial people who are doing the day-to-day. You've got the treasurer who's the custodial relationship with some fiduciary obligation. And then you've got the board and specifically the vice president for finance who is the fiduciary.
So thanks for that, Bob. I will say that for me, the custodial fiduciary words aren't necessarily more descriptive than oversight. And what I'm hoping, what I'm hearing you say as far as how that works in practice is making sure that money that's supposed to be deposited actually lands in the accounts and that the money that's supposed to come out of the accounts is coming out of the right accounts. Is that what you
I
mean?
think that's part of it. Yeah. I mean, it may be that the words custodial and fiduciary are too technical for them to be of easy help, but that's why I choose them, because they mean something more specific than oversight.
If you could explain them in a way that I understand, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, custodial, meaning control, the person who holds and controls. You know, a fiduciary relationship is a relationship of trust, right? This is a fiduciary relationship with respect to those finances and the board of trustees, who are the fiduciaries of the people of the city of Albany. So it's not that the treasurer can't have a day-to-day function. It's just that you guys have a more robust business office than a lot of libraries do because of your size. And so, you know, you probably don't need to worry. And by the way, with that comes the benefit of you've got better controls, because you've got a few more people that you can segregate duties to. What Adam just described, I'm not an accountant, but it sounds very good from a segregation of duties thing, so that Adam and his staff are the ones that do certain things, and the treasurer doesn't play a role in handling a deposit. Similarly, you know, Adam and his staff prepare those checks, and the treasurer signs them only after the board has audited them at the meeting. So you've got some good controls in place with respect to those things. Many of those functions would reside in a treasurer position if you didn't have a robust business office. Not because it's the right way to do it, just because of necessity.
Thank you.
If nobody has anything else for public session, I would move into executive session.
Sarah, did everybody get that email I sent?
You know, I just checked 2 minutes ago and I hadn't received anything. Let me refresh again.
I only mention that because it just may be one last thing that everybody wants to ask some questions about in open session.
I still don't
haven't
have it.
received yet.
Yeah, Bob, I'm sorry, I don't either.
All right, that sounds like it might be my end. Hang on for a second. Yeah, it's sitting in my outbox for some reason. Hold on.
So I found it on this website. So here's the link.
Yeah, it's coming around right now too. Yep, that's the same one. And again, there's others that talk about this stuff, but this one's all about this stuff, you know, and it sort of, it answers a lot of, it comments on a lot of these issues. I'm not sure it answers them all that well. No, I don't know. I don't know much about Sayville. Most of the libraries on Long Island tend to be larger. Do you know how big Sayville is, Scott?
I don't believe it's as big as us, but my experience with Sayville is like 20 years and skateboarding. They have good bagels. That's all I could share. I'm sorry.
It may actually say how big their budget is right in the report, actually. So
Yeah, it says Sayville is a community of 18,500 people with a budget of approximately 3.7 million.
So they're about half of our size of a library. And they're no doubt not multiple branch. Most of those libraries are larger main branch arrangements. So if you take a look on page 4, the top of page 4, it gets to this issue where they're criticizing the idea of an independent contractor. And this is where they didn't do a very good job because, here they're saying that the mere fact that this person's being paid on a 1099 is somehow offensive, when in prior reports, what they were saying is we don't want organizations providing the role because they can't be sworn as a public officer. I don't see any reason that a person couldn't be sworn as a public officer, and if it was properly done, paid as an independent contractor. It may not be properly done. That's often the case, right? Because it's hard to have an independent contractor relationship in New York, but that's not what they're arguing about, or if it is, they're not being clear. So you also get to see how the library responded to this. And that's usually at the end of the letter or end of the report, the library's response letter is there. And they basically capitulated.
I don't see where they hired the.
No,
They
it just
hired
says
the
that they took the oath of office that they were being criticized about.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, although we could probably find out whether they started paying them on a W-2 basis or not. But again, that's not, in my mind, if that's the thing we get down to, that we find the right person and we just decide not to make them an employee, that's a discrete issue that we can resolve one way or another. Either I'll tell you, yeah, you can make this happen, or no, you really ought not to. But that'll be at the point where you found the right person.
All right, it's Miller time.
It's Miller time for my partner, guys.
I was wondering for whom.
Amen to that.
I'll be right back.
So should we move now into executive session?
Just realized I'm muted. I would, I just noticed what's written in board docs will have to be slightly amended since it's not exactly the same as the other night. We're not going to be discussing anything related to the collective bargaining agreement, only matters related to job responsibilities.
And that's the part we changed the other night too, Sarah. That was changed to matters relating to the potential appointment of a particular individual.
So if somebody would like to motion us into executive session, that would be appreciated.
I'll move
I'll
to go to
second.
executive. Yeah. Do we have enough reason?
Bob said for a reason of appointment to a position.
Consideration of the appointment of a particular individual.
And then Tom seconded. Any further discussion on the motion to go into executive session? Seeing none. Actually, there should be. Is there going to be a vote in board docs?
Am I correct? Tom was second?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would ask for trustees only in executive session. And then if we need any clarification, we can come back out and request additional members join us in executive session.
Tom and Matthew, could you please state your vote?
Matthew doesn't vote.
Yeah, I'm
He
not
doesn't
on the
vote?
committee. I'm
Okay.
sitting in. I'm not finance committee.
That's fine.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll log in board docs too. I forgot to.
That's okay. Okay, so.
I hear clicking. Is there a breakout room being created? Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Should we sing the Jeopardy theme song?
Not if we're still being recorded.
Yeah, that's the issue. You're
Yes,
muted.
Scott. Yes, it's still being recorded.
Still being recorded? Great.
It has to.
Do they know to? Or do we have text?
If I put it in the chat, will they see?
You gotta like send a message to the room.
Okay.
I forgot how you do that though.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't do that now.
Right. Oh, here we go.
They just have to let you know when to bring us out, or to bring them out.
Right. And I just have to cancel the room, correct? Close the room.
Close the room. Yeah.
I hope that went to them. It said broadcast message to all rooms, and that's where I sent it. Should work.
By the time we get really good at this, we'll be meeting in person again.
I just realized I'm muted. This is kind of easy for executive session. It's kind of a nice, clean way of doing it, especially if we're, conversations are happening and they're coming back. The issue is going to be when, or if we ever do this in the hybrid world, where it's both in person and
Right.
taped. How are we doing it? It's not like we can send everybody to a Google room. We'd probably have to mute the video and audio for the feed.
Bob really did go to Miller time.
Yeah, not so much. I'm just doing other things and Scott, where are you? Are you on your cell phone?
No, I'm home.
Yeah, I can catch you on your cell.
Yeah, it's right in front of me.
I'll be right with you.
Okay.
So, guys, Anybody have any plans this weekend? Anything exciting to share?
I get to go feed baby goats.
Oh, that's adorable. Where?
My in-laws are getting baby goats tomorrow, and so Sunday morning we're going to go help feed them.
Oh, how young?
I'm assuming, because I know several people, I hang out with farmers. I know several people that are have goats that are being birthed like in the last week or two. So it's probably only a couple, like up to 2 weeks old, maybe.
Wow. If my dad had his way, we would have chickens and goats, but my husband says no livestock. That's his rule. No dogs and no livestock. But
See, that's it. My
they're horrible. My dad did
in-laws,
have goats in North Carolina. He had tons of goats and chickens.
my in-laws were on Long Island, and he was like an electrician for like New York City and such. And when he retired, he was just like, he always wanted chickens. He always wanted a farm. He always wanted to do something. And so his retirement was moving up here and buying a farm. And it's been 20 years
Wow.
that he's run the chicken farm. So,
Wow.
and they did the chicken farm, and when they were at their height, because like they've scaled back considerably the last couple of years, but when they were at their height, they actually did agro-tourism. So they got the biggest cost outlay for animals like baby goats and stuff is the baby portion before they're large enough to like produce milk or whatnot. So they tend to quote unquote farm that out to other farmers who will raise them for certain reasons that they like the baby animals, and then they sell them back to the places that like need goat milk or whatnot.
Right.
So my in-laws took all the baby animals and did school visits and Girl Scout and Boy Scout visits with the baby animals, because then it was less, the animals were more tame and
Right.
and easier to control. And they actually did a lot with a lot of disabled communities.
Very nice.
And they had, for the longest time, they had the only handicap accessible hayride in New York State.
Wow. That's
So
great.
it was, they did some really cool things. So he still likes helping with the baby goats. So he
My
still
nephews do a lot with goats with their Boy Scouts.
Mhm.
They're always doing something with goats. And they've even gotten now they have bunnies. But they're big on the goats.
pretty impressive because my kids have grown up around them. I mean, my daughter was 3 when we moved here, and my son was 1, and my daughter can do a really good goat impression now. So she usually, like, as soon as we pull up, she like starts bleating like a goat and
Oh
runs
my
out.
gosh. That's very cool. Any livestock, Adam? Any breed livestock? We'll stick to the cats, right? Do you have one or more? I forget.
No, just one.
Just one. She's good still?
He's the best.
Oh yeah.
I do miss
Ugh.
kitties.
I'm like obsessed with my cat. My boy though, he's having some problems. He's over 13 now, and he's definitely showing his age, and he keeps having these, like, I call them seizures, but I don't know if it's a seizure or a stroke or something. And I told the vet about it, and I even showed a video clip of it, because they last like a solid minute, where like one whole side of his body goes completely paralyzed. Like he like locks up, he cannot move.
Poor thing.
He'll fall over. If he does try to walk, he'll, fall. It's so hard to watch. He doesn't seem to be in pain now. And they said that there's basically, they don't even really want to look at him, because they're like, you'll spend thousands of dollars on tests and you're not going to find an answer.
We went through that with a dog.
Oh my God.
Our first dog that we ever owned, and he was a puppy. So like, we actually did spend the money because we thought he was under a year old, so we were hoping. And
I had this one, my old boy, I've had him, he was like 4 weeks old when I got him. He was way too young for adoption. I had to help finish bottle feeding him and everything. And now he's, I feel so bad because he's so miserable because I got the kittens. I call them kittens. They're a year old now, but they're still babies. And he hates them. And the one like wants to be his friend so bad. And the other one is more scared about him because he's so nasty. She just lays there. And she'll run by him, or he'll like go to swat her and she just pops over and lays there. But cats are the best.
had
Fun personalities.
Miss Ursa, who was just this huge fat cat. She was wonderful. And she was the sweetest cat ever. She, like, even people who hated cats loved Miss Ursa. And it was Phil's cat before I knew Phil. And then she always had a roommate because there was another cat in the house with them. And then when he moved in with me, I had the dog. And then my dog unfortunately got cancer and passed away. And she was alone, and we're like, she can't be alone. So we ended up getting another cat at the time because I'm like, I couldn't do a dog at the time. And that was Caden. And Caden was a little evil. Like, as much as Ursa was loving, Caden like hated everybody. But then Ursa got old and got sick, and literally like the last month they started hanging out together.
Oh.
And he was like, just, lay on her or cuddle up with her. And then when she passed, he became like this super cuddly cat. And we always told people, like, she had a conversation with him that like, okay, these people need a cuddly cat.
Gotta be nice.
You gotta be nice. They need a cuddler.
Adam, is your cat a cuddler?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
They're not actually cuddling. They're just using you to get warmth.
No, you're absolutely correct, actually.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like, I want a cat near me, like when I go to bed and stuff. Like, come on, somebody. I don't care who. But yeah.
The funny thing is, Doug refuses.
Yeah, the kittens aren't
to come. He'll any other time of the day, he'll cuddle with us or he'll lay with us. But if it's nighttime, he has his nighttime couch he lays on, and he refuses. He won't come upstairs.
Yeah, Ripley sleeps with us every so often, but most of the time she's been going in the basement a lot. It's either Silas's like mini little chair that she sleeps in, or she sleeps on the couch. But she, every once in a while, she sleeps with us, but not often. She
took Phil, like literally the week before we went into lockdown last year. Phil got ordered a Lazy Boy recliner.
Ooh.
And like a nice double wide, because he's like, I want to be able to sit with like the kids in it. And he remembered his Pop's chair. And he goes, I want a chair like that. And then it took forever because of all the lockdown stuff. So it took us 6 months to get the chair. And as soon as we got it, like the dog takes it. So like, it's the funniest thing, because Phil will come into the room and the dog just looks up and is like, yeah, no. And if Phil does sit in the chair, the dog immediately comes up and like pushes him, like slowly, like leans and pushes him out of the chair. Or this is our favorite. If you're sitting in a chair, he'll come up and walk in front of the chair and look at you and kind of go, and then he'll walk the loop in the house, because everybody, every house has a loop, and he'll walk the loop in the house and he'll come back and just look at you again like, did you move?
Yeah, you're still there.
You're still there. Like, And then he'll woof, and then he'll lay down next to it, but he'll like make the whole like whoa, 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 whoa as he's laying down. Gotta love them.
Yeah.
They're goofballs. But we went for a walk the other night because it was just so gorgeous. And
I know I'm totally obsessed with this weather.
the whole neighborhood, I couldn't drive home because everybody was out in the streets walking. And I was like, okay, so we'll go for a walk. And we took the dog with us. And I swear everybody in the neighborhood has gotten a golden retriever puppy. There were like 20 golden retriever puppies being walked. And I was like, I know our neighbors at the beginning of the pandemic got one. And then 6 months later got another one.
Jeez.
I know.
I don't know.
Betty.
I've never ever had a dog. My whole life I've always had cats. I don't know if I would handle a dog. So much work. And cats are good. They're just so independent.
But it's funny, they're Eliza and from Eliza Hamilton and Betty for Betty White.
Oh, love Betty White.
So we always we let them out because our fences meet and the dogs all meet at the fence.
That's
So
cute.
good morning, Eliza. Good morning, Betty.
I take
Are
my
you-
cat outside on a leash. Only in my yard though. My backyard is fenced in, but he never really tries to go anywhere anyway. Like he wouldn't climb the fence, he wouldn't do any of that. But I take him outside on a leash and he's like he loves as soon as it starts getting nice out, he's at the door like, come on, I want to go get some fresh air.
Our neighbor is cute. We joke that they had 3 sons, and once the last one went to college, she replaced each child with a cat. So she has 3 cats now, and she's so adorable. She does photo shoots with them, so she always carries them outside and lays them in, because we have some garden beds and stuff. She'll always lay them out and take pictures of them, and then she photoshops them into some funny situation. It's the most adorable thing. I'm so bummed because she didn't do it in the years past. She's done a calendar with the last 2 years. She's done a calendar with the cats. We didn't get a cat calendar from her this year.
Oh, actually, my wedding DJ, every year for Christmas, he must take his animals. He's got 3 cats and 2 dogs. He takes them someplace and they do a whole family thing because they don't have children.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the life. No kids, have animals. And every year he sends out a card with them. It's funny. Oh, here's Tony Flash. Here's his family picture. I don't know if I'll go that extreme, but it's funny.
There's definitely something to be said for that. My pandemic pet was a fish.
I used to have fish growing up. I don't know if I don't know.
I got a nice little beta fish.
Oh, beta? That's cute.
And then Maggie got the axolotl.
But that has to be totally separate, right?
Mm-hmm. His name's Marshmallow. Her axolotl. He's a funny looking thing. We think it's a he. It's a little hard to tell, but we've trying to find one of the pictures of him.
I have to finish doing my we're doing the side entrance ceiling this weekend. Oh yeah.
He's pink with little dots
see-through. He's see-through.
He is. He's one of the
albino.
He's not albino. It's leucasic or leucasic. I forget how you pronounce it. It's almost albinoism, except their eyes aren't red.
So we had, when we were young, we had an African albino frog, It was white. It looked like that. It was white and it had the red eyes but that thing like he got huge and he was completely underwater. He lived with the fish.
That's what this is. He lives underwater, and he has his gills are on the side of his head. So they're like little fluffy things, and they change color throughout the day. Like not, but they go from like a pale pink to like a bright red, depending on his mood. So you can tell like how he's feeling depending on how his gills look. And every so like when he's sleeping, like generally they're just like flapping around, but when he's sleeping, he'll like take deep breaths and they go.
Oh, weird.
And he's funny to watch. This morning he was scratching his back against the filter. So he was like in the water going like this against the filter with it on his back. It was just like,
hey,
what are you
scratch
doing?
my back against a wall sometimes. Feels good.
You just don't think like an animal like that would do something
Right.
of that nature, but I guess I'm 2/3 of my way through my blanket I'm making for my nephew.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's
Is it crochet, knit?
it's crocheted. I haven't learned how to knit yet. I tried, but it's similar to the phone. Whatever you learn first is what you like.
Yep.
So I learned how to crochet first, which is one hook.
Yep.
And so you give me 2 sticks and I have no idea what to do. But I heard a lot of other people say just the opposite. Like, so this is how it's coming along so far.
That's nice.
I like the colors.
Each of he's a hockey.
Like a little like scallop.
So each stripe is a different. This is also like me trying to learn new things. So each stripe is a different stitch. So there's some like lace stitches, there's some scallop, there's some puffy stitches.
Nice.
It's his college colors and his favorite sports team's colors, kind of mixed. But they all go nice together because it's like blue, green, and gray.
Very nice.
So
What a good auntie.
I try.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Matthew.
Are you
Hi. Not really. The
Oh.
group in the breakout room would like to speak with Scott, Bob, and Adam one more time.
okay?
Okay.
Okay, so and I can go back in or not, whatever. I'm just kind of on the sidelines here.
I
But you
just
can put me
added
back
them.
in. Okay. If you want to put me in, I'll go back in there here.
That's interesting that he could do that. It says that you're still.
Oh, am I back in? Oh, I can still go in?
I think you could still go back in. It says that you're still listed in room 1.
Oh, all right. I'll hit leave here and see if it gives me that choice. No, it says leave meeting.
Do you see anything that says if you hover over participant?
Two.
Oh.
Yeah, he's back in.
He's back in. Okay.
He figured it out. My husband is a man of routine,
Mhm.
and he's like, dinner. He's like, when's dinner? I'm like, I told you.
See, like I said, we made the mistake of going
I know.
and getting a big lunch
Oh,
today.
that benefited you, so you don't have to rush to make dinner.
Well, we told we're probably gonna pull an ice cream for dinner on the
Ooh,
kids
aren't they lucky?
tonight, or just fend for yourselves.
Yeah, I'm all about that. They don't like that as much.
I said it was interesting. There's like, a meme going around, and it's like, the whole. As a mom, I pulled the whole like everybody fend for themselves, whatever's in the cabinets or fridge, go at it. And she's like, you know what? Nobody starved. Everybody was happy.
My mom, we used to say, Mom, what's for dinner? And she would say, skip. Like, what's skip? She's like, we're skipping dinner. It's whatever you want. But I'm totally okay with that, because that could mean like grilled cheese or pizza, English muffins, or whatever you want, or cereal,
Yeah.
PB&J. I'm totally cool with that. Can of soup, not for them. I can't believe my dad got his money already.
No, is it now? Is it?
Last time he got it right away too.
Because I was gonna say, is it
got it right away?
It's not the old one. It was
It's the one that just happened.
That
because the last one was 600 and now 1,400. Aww.
So for anybody watching, I could teach you crochet. We could turn this into a program. No, it was I swear every computer we have are all starting to die at the same time, which makes sense. That's why, like, my intent was, because there was never a replacement cycle or replacement plan for the computers. And every other organization I've been a part of, you have a scheduled and you stagger them. So you don't replace everything all at once. You replace like a third this year, a third next year. That way they all don't go at the same time.
Yep.
But we did the branch improvement plan where everything was bought at the same time.
Yeah, it makes sense that they would start to go.
So everything seems to be going at the same time.
That does stink though.
Yeah, because it's like timing wise, it's like. But yeah, during this meeting, I had to tell Scott, and I don't know if maybe it's just a loose connection or something, but my monitors all started flickering and just blacked out for a second. So I was like,
the laptops?
Well, so mine was the laptop, and my laptop is one of the older laptops. Like the IT department keeps reminding me, they're like, your laptop's out of warranty. I'm like, I know. But I'm going to run this thing into the ground because everybody else I can get by with this because I can, I know I have a backup if I need it at home. So I'm like,
I'm on my personal computer because I have a massive screen and I find it very helpful.
Yeah.
When I'm doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I got when they asked me about mine, I was like, get me the smallest screen and the cheapest thing because I don't want to. I only need it, I have nothing high level on mine that has to run. Like, save those for the people who have the software that they need to run.
Right.
And But now looking back on it, yeah, like the screen sucks for, that's why I have a dual monitor set up. Like I brought one in from home, and at work I have the second monitor just because I have to have, so I can see things.
Yeah, it is nice having the two screens.
And it's, thank God, with all of the virtual stuff, because it's having to have the multiple accounts up.
Yep.
And for recordings, like it only records one screen, so I can have the other screens up to monitor the feeds and stuff.
Yep. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Just have to enter the ladies' room. Back. Have you ever done the LTV?
Yeah,
What are your,
loved it. Highly recommend it for everybody.
yeah,
Yeah. It was,
Scott said also it was like the best thing he ever did.
yeah, it's an amazing program. Just what you learn, not only about the community, but what you learn about yourself throughout the whole thing is just,
Pretty intense program, isn't it?
yeah.
Like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, it's a lot of hands-on work too, though.
It's a lot of hands on, and I don't know how they're like, it's
How they're handling that, right?
how they're handling it with the
Right.
pandemic and everything. I mean, that would be better. No, I'm trying to think if Deanna, I think Deanna's project, I think Deanna was a part of,
I think she finished like just in time or something.
yeah,
I don't think she was affected.
as much. So it's a 9-month program, September through May. And the first month, there's a weekend retreat, and where the retreat is gorgeous.
So
And-
you go away for the whole weekend?
You go away for the whole weekend. So you're like, you have a roommate and everything. And there's like, it's from morning till night
Wow.
stuff. It's a lot, and it's a lot of like team building and getting to know your kind of like a base strengths and weaknesses of yourself, but also to get to know everybody in the group.
Uh-huh.
And then each month you focus on a different aspect of the region. So there's like economic development, education,
Food insecurity.
community and nonprofits, I
Okay.
think is what they call it. So that, you have a whole day dedicated. So like a whole day Friday, once a month, dedicated to that topic. So you usually have like 2 to 3 issues within that topic that you're discussing.
Got it.
And it's leaders of that. So like for economic development, they had the Capital Region Economic Development Council president there, and the chamber president and other people, so they're talking and they discuss all the issues that are happening in the region and some of the things that are being worked on, some of their, kind of initiatives and strategic plans of what's going on in that, some of the challenges and everything. And then kind of give it to you to like, as where you are in your organization, how do you fit into that? And it's kind of, and it's nice because you're working with like, we had MVP, people from MVP, CDPHP, law firms, real estate agencies, banks, couple independent contractors, some military. You have a little bit of everything mixed in.
Right.
As part of your class. And then so there's those main sessions, and then they have what's called experientials, and those you get to pick from. And I think you have to do, if I'm not mistaken, you have to do 9 throughout the course of the program.
Mm-hmm.
And they're everything from like, we do, one of the experientials is coming to the library, and we do like usually in February, have them come to the library and we talk all about the library. So it's usually about a specific agency doing something, or a specific kind of like behind the scenes type things. Almost every year, the Stratton Air Force Base takes you on a plane. If you want to go, and they take you on one of the military planes and like can do a flyover.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. I didn't get to go on it, but Scott did. It was like
awesome.
What day was it? It was like the day we did it was like a board meeting or like some meeting, and I was like, oh, I can't get out of it. And then the next time it fell on the same time as Scott, but Scott went on it. I'm like, you're skipping this meeting to go on that? And I was just like, I didn't. I went to the meeting instead. He's like, well, that was your choice. Like,
oh man. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. But so you get to do different things, like, so, and you can pick and choose. So it's kind of fun because if you have a specific interest, you can kind of gear yours experientials all to that experience or those topics. And then as a group, you have to do a community service project. And it's everything from developing what parameters you want your project to be under. And it's usually doing it for someplace else. So you submit an RFP, a request for proposal. So you develop what you want your parameters on, you release the RFP out, get proposals back from other charities or community organizations that are needing help on a project that they need help on. The group has to work through a process of how you're determining which project you're picking. And then once you pick the project, you have to fundraise. You have to coordinate the development of the project, and then you have to complete the project.
Oh, wow.
Our project for our class, we worked with Camp Cloverleaf, which was with the Center for Disability Services. It's their summer camp for their residents
Mm-hmm.
or their customers. And it was really interesting because it's beautiful campsite, like out past Glenville. And it was it was their 50-year anniversary of this campsite. And it's like a stayover camp. You know, it's a nice like week-long stayover camp that they do.
Right.
And their waterfront wasn't wheelchair accessible.
Oh,
And so that was what we did is we made the waterfront, we like cleared the land, we got a wheelchair accessible dock and lift to bring people from wheelchairs into boats or into the water.
that's awesome.
And then we paved it. So, and we had a paved path so they could actually take their equipment down.
Right.
And
I love that.
it was so much fun. We had a lot of fun. We were very lucky. We did clear the land. There were 2 Saturdays I went out and raked and shoveled and stuff, but mostly, we have to admit, most of it was done. The 2 members of our class were from the Air Force Base right around the corner.
Right.
And when they had time off, they were like, "Oh, let's bring the equipment over."
Oh,
And so, like on their lunch hours, sometimes they were like,
that's nice though.
they would do stuff. But yeah, so we did that, and it was great. It was really fun. Scott's was the Ronald McDonald House,
Mm-hmm.
needed their basement renovated, or I forget what area it was, but they completely renovated it and made it into a game and community room
Oh, that's awesome.
for the kids.
Yep.
I think Deanna's was, I forget if it was Deanna's or the year before, one did like renovated one of the baseball fields, the little league fields that had gone into disrepair over in Schenectady.
When I worked at Lowe's, every year we would do, it's called Lowe's Heroes, I think it was called.
Mhm.
And we, similar but much smaller scale,
Yeah.
is we would have to find a way to give back to the community.
Mhm.
And so we would form like a committee, and the year that I was most involved, we went to a battered women's shelter,
Okay.
and we like painted everything. Like the rooms were really decrepit, and so we got them like new countertops and fixed their hardware on like on the cabinets, like just helped update things a little bit, make it more comfortable, and painted. And we did a lot of, just like those things that like get overlooked, or it adds up over time sometimes, but it makes a difference. And it was so rewarding and fun, and everybody there was so helpful and wonderful. It was really a great experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't have to do the fundraising and stuff. We had it was a small budget,
Yeah.
but the corporate did give us a budget. It was just up to us to figure out the program, like what the project was gonna be.
Yeah. But it was, so ours, I think we got some like corporate sponsors from some of our, like, so we had people like writing letters to
Yep.
corporations saying, we're doing this.
Yep.
But we also held a fundraising event. So we hosted a happy hour.
Yep.
And we got like celebrity bartenders. So all the money from tips all went to it. We had like a silent auction.
That's awesome.
And there was a signature drink that night. So anybody who bought the signature drink, all the proceeds went to that. And yeah, I mean, it was great. I always joke, like the way it ended up in my session, it was interesting because there were so many people who didn't understand what libraries do, or like what we're about, or anything.
Right.
So the first session, it was interesting because it was economic development. And so like we're there the whole day with all these leaders of economic development in the group. And at the end, they're like, oh, if only there was an organization that could do like X, Y, and Z for the community, that would be really helpful. And it was something like, you know, small business classes and
Aw.
tax help. And I'm like,
Hello.
you do realize that we at the library do that for the community for free, right? They're like, no, we had no idea. And then like the next session was like education. Like, oh, if only there was a place that people could go and like get help with their GEDs. And I'm like, you guys do realize that that's what the library does. And then there's like a health one, and there was like, you know, if people could learn about healthy habits. And I'm like, once again, so the very last session was on quality of life, and it was all like education, or not education, entertainment and the arts and stuff. And somebody, it was I remember it was at Proctor's, and it was like Philip Morris at Proctor's, the director there. And he's like, yeah, if only there was an organization that could, you know, help us out, or that could do this. And my group turned around, they're like, Melanie, would you like to speak on this topic for the group? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, the library needs to do a lot more than we all thought did. I'm just going to go turn on my light. I'm realizing how dark it's getting.
Yeah, I'm in the shadows here too.
There, at least now I don't look so blue. Has anybody dinged and said how much time they're going to be at? Okay. My dog's sitting and judging me from the other room. I have my paint swatches up too. I'm trying to figure out what our next room we're going to paint.
Oh, Matt just left the room. I don't know because he had to leave or what, but he's no longer in that breakout room. What color? What room is it?
It's our living room, like our main living room. It's so the previous homeowner did, she was did interior design and stuff. So she had some nice things going on, but there's other, I think she used the house sometimes to test things.
Yeah.
And so there's like some weird paint, like faux paint things going on in certain rooms. But the main floor is all of this dark beige, light tan color, which isn't horrible. It's just, it's brown to me.
It's very neutral.
It's very neutral, but it's very brown, and it feels dark. And for our house, for some reason, actually doesn't get a lot of light.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, because the one side of the house is like this huge hedgerow. So like the second floor gets light, but the first level doesn't.
Right.
And then just the angle of our house, just there's no direct sunlight coming in. We're angled, so we get no direct sunlight.
Right.
So I'm like, I need to lighten everything. So the funny thing is, when this room here was our pandemic project. It was a dining room, but they put an addition on the house, and it actually had like this room set up as more of a sitting room.
Yeah.
And then the dining room's off the kitchen.
Yeah.
Or off the other side of the kitchen, because this is also off the kitchen. And so I was like, and we had it kind of flopping back and forth between the dining room and not. I always wanted a huge farm table.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't fit in this room. It would only fit in the other room that they had as their dining room. So I'm like, let's just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And so then this room, I was like, oh, we'll turn it back into a sitting room. And then when I needed an office, I was like, I'm going to make it into my office. So it's my office. And I have like 2 out of the because the one wall is just the arch into the living room. But
Do you need to go back to that room?
Yes, I accidentally kicked myself out.
Okay.
Thank you.
What color are you thinking then?
so it's called calm. It's kind of a gray, like a light gray. It's
Makes it.
Benjamin Moore.
I'm gonna look it up.
So, but
Oh,
the
yeah. That is
like
nice.
a creamy gray.
It's a little neutral, but it's a little bit like brighter
It's brighter.
here.
So we figured we would do the living
That is
room.
nice.
But it was funny. So I did this room, and this room has a chair rail. So I did the upper level like a light, like a bluish gray.
Yep.
And the base is more of a dark gray.
Yep.
And it was wallpaper on both. Like she had contrasting wallpaper. So, and it was starting to peel. And so I was like, that's it. I'm going to take the wallpaper down. I'm going to paint the room. And my husband was like, you're insane. And I spent a whole weekend and I took all the wallpaper down and I painted the room. And then he was like, okay, you're not insane. You're actually quite brilliant. It looks beautiful. And now we have to paint the rest of the house. So
I'm gonna send you a link to a picture of the paint color we're choosing for the side entrance. We're gonna we're doing the ceiling this weekend.
By the way, I love your coffered ceiling thing.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? So
that was really good.
My
I like that
side entrance it's called Fresh Cut Stems.
Yeah,
it's such a pretty color.
It is.
My house is full of color. I don't like the color of my living room, but do I really have the motivation to make, like, I just need to tone it down.
Yeah,
my living room is yellow, but it's like everyone likes it, but it's, to me, it's like, oh, it's bright.
Our bathroom is our master bathroom is yellow, and we changed the light bulbs in the room. I think she had the CFLs, the fluorescent, and I swear it made it fluorescent. It was like neon yellow.
Yeah.
And thankfully I was like, got to get rid of these bulbs. And so we got rid of changed out the bulbs, and it's a much warmer.
It helps.
It helps a lot. It's not neon, but I was just like, why would you paint a room this color? And it was weird because she had the floor. I don't know if she painted the walls and just decided to leave the floors, but the floors are like a dusty rose tile.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't match at all. So that's going to be a project at some point, is to either paint that, because they have the stuff where you can paint over the tile.
Yep.
And so I'm thinking we'll either do that and paint that room. I like that green though. I might use that.
It's so calming.
Yeah, I might use that for the bathroom.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice color. I'm really happy with it. I have it taped to the wall right now, and I have it in a couple areas so I can like see where the light would hit it, you know?
Yeah.
And I still really, really enjoy it. But
have you ever tried?
We're gonna do the beadboard ceiling in that side entrance, and then because it used to be like, my bedroom used to be the garage, so you go in the side entrance like a little breezeway type thing, and you go up 2 steps and then you're at a landing, but that's the level of the house.
Okay.
So my bedroom, so you go up 1 step and then you're on the landing, and then you can go left to the house, which you're in the kitchen and the rest of the house, or you go right down a step, back down a step to my bedroom. That's my bedroom, closet, and bathroom. And that's what used to be the garage.
Yeah.
So it's an L-shaped hallway, and we're gonna make the beadboard ceiling. It won't have like the coffered look. It'll have some trim, but not nearly as much trim as my room. And I got a nice light fixture from IKEA. It's really nice. And then I just have it's called canless recessed lighting, so you don't have to have like all that extra nonsense up in there. You just do the electrical, pop it up, and the springs like open up the side and hold it up. So, and it's cool because these recessed lights, you could choose like the blue light, the fluorescent light, the soft
Okay.
light, all different kinds of light, of different light colors you
Yeah.
can choose. So it'll have 2 areas of that.
Nice.
And it's not a huge project, but I think we can nail it out this weekend. And then I have to paint my copper ceiling. So excited. And then I could finish. We have to, my bedroom is like, it's such a project. We've never done anything in my room. I
Mhm.
have like this royal blue carpet and it's just so ugly and gross.
Yeah, I was talking because Adam was refinishing his floor, so we were talking flooring.
Yep.
And on this main floor, there's 7 different types of flooring.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was
I
just
have-
like,
My whole house is like oak wood. Almost the whole house is oak wood. Not my
Yeah.
favorite, but
Yeah.
it is real hardwood. My
Yeah.
bedroom is the only room that's carpeted besides upstairs. Upstairs is it's all like tan carpet and that's
yeah,
but the whole floor at least is one color. My room is the dark blue.
yeah,
And then there's a beautiful stone tile for the side entrance.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
otherwise, but the hallway leading from the landing to my room
Mhm.
is like Berber. But
Okay.
so that we're gonna take out, and that will be the same kind of floor as my room.
Okay.
Because we should have a little extra anyway, and it's a small area. But otherwise, yeah, after the ceiling is painted, I'm making a whole wall of built-in dresser.
Ooh.
It's gonna like I have this my window. It's like it should be like a bay window. It's a big
Okay.
window in my room, and it has like really deep windowsill. It's beautiful.
Nice.
But I'm going to. I dressers from IKEA, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have dressers on each side, like surrounding, and we're gonna
Okay.
put trim and stuff like that. Raise it a little so it's
Yeah.
flush with the window, and the top will have open bookshelf. And then matching nightstands and light fixtures, and then the floor. We just got our floor measured from Lowe's, and I'm hoping to get those installed soon. So my bedroom is gonna be like unbelievable. I gotta order the lights, like the side table lights,
Yep.
and an area rug. And everyone's like, why are you putting an area rug? You're putting beautiful floors. And I'm like, I prefer carpet in the bedroom. I don't
Yeah.
want to I like warmth.
You have to have a little warmth. Yeah.
And it's design. So
Yeah.
I put all the dressers together though. They're all stored in my guest room.
I love.
There's 6 of them.
Phil's always laughing at me because he's like, something has to be put together. Okay, let Mama do that. I love it.
Love doing it. It's my thing.
Makes me feel like I accomplished something. But yeah, the living room and office are connected and they have one type of carpet.
Yeah.
Then the kitchen is tiled. Phil's office has a different type of carpet in it. There's a built-off sun porch that has the same tile but a different size as the kitchen because the kitchen flows into the sunroom.
Yeah. And
then the built-off that they did with the they have like a fireplace and that's where the dining room is now on the other side of the kitchen has a different type of carpet than what's in this room and Phil's room. And then we have like a hallway leading from the kitchen to the front door and the staircase, and that's hardwood. And then we have a little mudroom area or breezeway between the garage and the house.
Right.
And that's stone tile or slate tiles.
Yeah, that's what mine is. It's like slate.
And so I'm like, seriously, 7 different types of flooring?
I just sent you the IKEA chandelier thing I'm gonna have for the side entrance, and then my inspiration for the built-in.
I like that.
It's gonna be something similar.
I love Pinterest.
Oh my God, me too. But that's how I figured out
Yeah.
the coffered ceiling look too, though,
Ooh.
because
Yeah.
was Pinterest, because I had to figure out a way to like, the ceiling wasn't perfectly level. So
Yeah.
the molding helped hide a lot of imperfections.
Well, that's it. Like, because no matter how careful I ever am, like when I'm painting above my head, my arm always twitches at some point, and I always get paint on the ceiling. And so, like, I want to do like just the little corner molding around the edge, just to hide all my little paint
Right.
sketches.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of quarter rounds. A lot of molding going around all over the place. But it, like, you look up and it's just like, wow, so nice.
And to know, like, and I was talking to Adam about this, like, to know that you could possibly get that you had the drop ceiling and you can get rid of it and do the things. I would love to do that as well. And then because of the way we refinish the base in the basement and the way we refinish the basement, we don't have, it's hard to put electrical anywhere.
Right.
But I've seen this molding now that you can get for even like the corner molding for your ceilings,
Yeah.
that can run cable into it. So I could
Oh,
run
yeah.
wiring
Oh, yeah.
cabling and then just run some wire molding
It
down.
leaves a space behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get cable hider stuff, because then I just paint it. I'm gonna put it, it's gonna, the lights I want for like my nightstand, I don't want them on the nightstands, they're gonna be hanging on the wall, but they're the plug-in kind. Just because that's how it has to be. And but I'm gonna put them like behind the cable hiders, and I'll paint it the same color blue as the wall and have it go behind the bed, so you won't
Ooh.
no one would ever see them. I can show you mine. I'll show you what I picked out, because I just, can't help myself.
Yeah. But it's funny, my husband's like, don't. So I was like, I think we're gonna repaint. I think I'm gonna redo this room. The worst is the kitchen is all like oak cabinets.
Mine's
And I
oak,
just
but it's
don't
actually
like-
a nice oak, and my kitchen is a super expensive kitchen.
Yeah.
One we could never afford.
Yeah.
But it's not like 100% my style.
Yeah. Same with me. Like
I would love to paint it, but do I trust myself to paint
I
it?
like the style. The color though is just
wrong person.
driving me nuts. So that's why I would love to just repaint the cabinets. But yeah, everybody tells us repainting cabinets in the kitchen is a pain in the butt.
I'm thinking about that light fixture.
Okay. I like those that are on the wall like that.
Or I have another one picked out that's a little less fancy schmancy.
But those always make you feel like you're at a hotel.
I
A
know.
little upscale hotel.
That's what I said. I was like, look how cute that is. Or that one. That one's a little simpler, but my husband likes the reading light portion of that one more. I think the other one had it, but
Yeah.
this one is a little bit more user friendly.
And then I have to figure out, I have these beautiful table lamps. I think we got them from like IKEA or something, or not IKEA, Target and stuff. But they're cute. They have like their blue lampshades and they have birds screen printed on them, because I'm big into birds. And the kids, it had like where the bird, like the shade is like fabric, but it has like a plastic backing behind it, and the kids broke the plastic backing. So like if the light's not on, you don't know, but as soon as the light's on, you can see like the holes in the plastic. So I'm like, I don't know where you can go to get just the plastic insert.
Yeah. I don't.
And like the right size, because I'm sure it's not like a standard size or anything.
No.
Because nothing ever is. It's like, oh my gosh. So this is something I learned doing home renovation. So our front door, or the door into the breezeway, which is the main door that we use, got chewed up by something like a mouse or something, like it had a little hole in the bottom. And so we're like, oh, we'll replace the door. Doors aren't standard sizes.
No, they're not.
I didn't realize that. Like
That's
I thought all front
for
like
me, because like I said, I worked at Lowe's for like over 8 years. For me, I'm like, yeah, no, that's like you're one of those customers that come in, it's the standard size, and I'm like, no.
I thought doors were standard. I thought certain things had standard sizes.
There's
So
usually standard height is
Yeah.
usually like 80 inches. A standard front door is typically 36, but that's a front door.
Yeah.
And then a side door can be anything, like
Yeah.
or any other door could be anything.
So that's,
that's funny.
I was just like, oh. So we found some, I think we used like some filler, and then like I resanded it, and then I put a kick plate over it.
Yep.
And then repainted it. But that's, like the homeowner, whatever she did like this faux painting on the front door, the two doors facing the front. So
Yep.
the very front door and the breezeway door. And they were like faux painted like wood. So like at first, like when you're walking up to the house, like, oh, it's a nice like walnut wood door. And then you're like, oh no, that was all fake painted. So they're now a bright like peacock teal. And,
That's
and we started a trend because we did it, and now there's like all these bright colored doors around our neighborhood. So it's really cute to walk around our neighborhood.
I think cheery. I am going to join the meeting on my laptop.
Okay.
And then I'm probably going to, because I got to start dinner. My husband's freaking out.
I wonder if you can give me back the
Oh, yeah.
host, and then I can help control.
Well, like I can do that, but I can actually, I don't know. I'll try to do it right now, but
Or I can reclaim host.
But I'm still going to pay attention. I'm just going to have it in the background.
But that way, if you're like in the middle of something and everybody needs to come back, I should be able to hopefully. Yep, there we go.
Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this one, and I should be on join with computer audio. You. That was funny. I'm still in, right?
Yep.
We're good? Okay. The only thing is that
You got to share the screen thing
they're
again.
on my screen that says that they're in the executive.
Yeah.
Okay. So, where'd my Zoom stuff go? Share screen.
There you go.
Still sharing, it's good.
Yep.
Cool. Now it's like super tiny on this. All right, I'm I'm gonna turn the volume up loud on this thing, and then I'm gonna run downstairs and try to start dinner. They're still meeting, but I said I have to go cook dinner, so I'm on mute and all that, waiting for them to come out. They're part of their private meeting.
But you're not on mute, Rebecca.
Oh my God. All right, let me put myself on mute. Okay. I should have known. I should have known. Well, we can chat. I just don't want the video on.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can chat. I just, yeah.
I just didn't want you thinking you were on mute and saying something.
Well, on mute. I could have swore I was. And the other day, Stephanie messaged me during the meeting, and I guess my screen shared it. It did not come through on the video,
Okay.
so that's good. Dad, did you feed the cats? They're not asking for it, but I was just wondering.
Becky, they're coming out.
Okay.
Hello again, everybody.
Real quick,
We recognize it's late.
who first and who second?
Oh, Tom firsted, and I seconded, and everyone was in favor.
Thank you.
6:33, Becky.
Thank you.
I don't know if people can hear the noise in my kitchen right now downstairs.
That's okay. I had to run downstairs and start cooking dinner too.
Is there any public comment? Oh, we only have to do public comment once in a committee meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody,
night,
again
everybody.
for another long meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miller time.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday night.
Yeah, what's the